Hi, dearest lovely. I hope that you're doing absolutely incredible. I'm your host, Kaylin Vu, and welcome to the first episode of the Dear Lovely Universe podcast, Season 2. Thank you so much for tuning in. In Season 2, I will be primarily focusing on helping women strengthen their self-love and confidence after trauma, and I will continue to post new episodes every Friday. In this episode, I am coaching a client around her childhood trauma, including the pain she experienced in her relationship with her mom and being unable to trust herself. I had initially thought about starting off the season with a light, cheerful episode, but my intuition is telling me to go with this one. This is a very raw, vulnerable, and beautiful episode. I hope that you enjoy it and gain value. Hi, dearest lovelies. Today is a very special day in America. Today is Thanksgiving, and I'm here with a special guest who has chosen to remain anonymous. And we're going to be doing a coaching session. And I'm really excited because this is going to be the first of many for the relaunched Dear Lovely Universe podcast. So thank you so much for coming and being here with me. So, what would you like to work on today?
That's a really good question. Wow. Give me 1 second and I'll tell you. Maybe just releasing. I'm feeling like openness, more openness.
More openness. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so I've had a lot of anger towards my mom. There's been a lot of things that have gone on between us. And yeah, I just we're not talking right now. It's been really, really difficult. And so maybe just like the next step to first be open with myself and knowing that where we're both at, it's okay. That's kind of the energy that I'm feeling. I feel that there's one thing that you're gonna share with me that's just gonna be like, oh, right?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you'd like to work on having more openness. There's been some anger towards your mom, and you'd like to be more open with yourself.
Yes.
Okay, great. We can definitely talk about that today. So, what specific goal do you want to set for our session today?
Just a awareness of maybe just one step I can start taking. And anyone that's listening that's having difficulties with their mom, because we're not alone in any difficulty that we have. There's always somebody else on this planet that's struggling with that. And everything with COVID right now, those of us that live with our families, we've had to learn how to be more close with them, right? Because we've been enclosed, right? So my intention is that not only that this helps me, but your audience that's listening, that it touches their heart and soul in some way and that they can take something away too. Because I'm about serving and giving to others. So
yeah. And I appreciate that a lot. So you mentioned you mentioned that your specific goal is to have more awareness. And you also mentioned taking an action step. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. So we will make sure we get that action step in place.
I feel like this thing with my mom is there's been a lot of other things that I've healed in my life, but I feel like this is just like the one thing that's actually really stopping me from being in a relationship with like somebody. So today's going to be beautiful. It's another step peeling off another layer of the onion. So thank you for this.
You're welcome. It's really understandable that having a challenging relationship with your mom would impact the relationships that you have in any other area of your life. So, how will we know that we've been successful with reaching our goal of being more and open with yourself?
I feel like it's just a feeling inside. It's awareness is something that someone can be a messenger, but it's really has to come from within your soul, within your life. I feel like it's just something that I feel in my heart, and then it goes to my brain, and then it's not just in my brain, but it's like a mind heart connection. I know you know
Mhm.
what I mean because you're very spiritual also. It's something that can be found in silence and in presence. So I think what happens a lot of times, we think we have to know all these things, but it might just be that one thing, that little shift. It's like a boat, right? If you're on a boat and you shift it just a half an inch, you're going to end up in a different direction. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The feeling inside sounds like it's really important to you right now with the awareness. And then you had mentioned shifting your boat and your sails, and just the smallest changes can turn into the biggest waves. So I'm really excited to see how we can create more awareness for you. So, why is this goal important to you?
Because I feel that, well, I really want to be in a romantic relationship. My business is moving in a positive direction, but if you were to ask me, would I want more of a successful business or a romantic relationship, to be completely raw and open with you, yes, the business is great, but I really want to find the love of my life. Like that's what I really, really want. And
Yeah.
probably because my mom never had that. My grandmother was married, but I don't think she was in love with her husband.
Mm.
I've never shared that. I have never shared that, but you know what? You know what came right now was actually just an awareness of like, again, like that's what I was talking about in the heart. That, even before we got on this call, it's so interesting because everything's beautiful energy, is that when anytime any of us share something, or even right now, me sharing this, I'm already feeling more open. Like I'm not going to allow my mom or anyone to no longer take my power away from me.
Exactly. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm actually already just feeling better just saying that, because that's the honest truth. Like if I didn't have like a oh so successful business, I'm saying it'd be like okay, but if I had like the most amazing romantic relationship, do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I would never trade all the money in the world to love. Is just like that's just something like so big on my heart. Like the business will continue, it'll have its ups and downs, but like when I pass away on this earth, to know that I had like a most beautiful, loving relationship with like my husband, like my other relationships, I have to say, like my friends relationship with my dad is, it's really amazing. Like there's so many people that love and care for me, but this like finding a romantic relationship has been a real challenge for me.
Yeah. So it sounds like this is really important to you because you want to be in a romantic relationship. Love has been big on your heart, and you want to be in a really beautiful, loving relationship with your husband while you have your time here on earth.
Well, I haven't found him yet, but yeah, I want just
Yeah.
that. Yes, yes, you're right on the button.
And that's very understandable. If love is of high value for you, and that's how you want to spend your time on earth, then it's really understandable that this is important to you and you would want to get moved through this challenge with your mom so that you can be more able to have that genuine connection and that love with a partner.
And can I add something too? It's like, um, for those that are listening, like, so anyone that's looking for love, you first have to love yourself. And this is something that has been a journey for, I mean, since the beginning of time. I mean, I have to say, really hard on for like the last 20 years. Um, but I really have to say, with again, just with like my heart and soul, like I really have come to a place where I can say I really love myself. It took a really, really long time, a lot of
Mhm.
tears. It's still like an everyday process. It's never perfect, but
Mhm.
that's why, like, when you first really love yourself, then that's, I really believe that's when you also attract the partner, right? Um,
Definitely.
but yeah, I just wanted to say that it's really, really important. So,
Well, thanks for adding that. I definitely agree that you have to love yourself first because there are this is actually a concept that I have been thinking about recently, more about how s- as people we often search for what is outside of us and to never truly find the one who can fill those voids. And it's not necessarily because they're they're a bad person or something like that. It's just because the only person who can really fulfill every inch of your being is you, and it's in your heart. And so you have to love yourself first and be at that energy to attract that energy. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you.
definitely. So when it comes to your goal of more openness, where or what do you think you need to address or resolve in order to achieve your goal?
Mm, I think that the next step is writing a letter to my mom and not necessarily sending it to her. This is actually something I did before, but really writing down like every little thing that I'm angry about with her and then burning it.
Mm,
Again, I did this exercise before, but again, just doing like another, peeling off like another layer, like really writing that letter, whether it's burning it or cutting it up and throwing it down the toilet, just something that is going to help to release, right?
yeah.
I feel that that was something coming up through spirit actually this week because what was it, the other day I reached out to my mom. I hadn't talked to her in almost mm, like 4 months because it was crazy during COVID. I went to go live with my mom to really try to mend the relationship. Um, but it just didn't turn out very well, and she basically asked me to leave, and I'm like, wow, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and you're asking me to leave. So, but I put my superwoman suit on, and I said, okay, she's doing me a favor. It's not like I wasn't going to be able to find a place. She's taught me how street smarts and how to like. I basically gave up my place where I'm at right now. I mean, I literally gave it all up. So it's not like I haven't tried. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so thankfully, I was able to come back here to my place because I was with her for 2 months, and there was a lot of growth that happened. What I'm trying to say is that I left her a message. I just via I just said, "Hey, mom, this is your daughter. I just want to see how you're doing." And then she responded back to me the next day and she's like, "This is the most depressing message that I ever heard after not talking to you for 4 months." I was just like, wow. It just really hurt because it's like I was trying to make an effort to try to see if maybe if she wanted to spend the holidays together or to see if there was any sort of shift, and a good friend of mine, and I want to share this with anybody that's listening, anybody that triggers you, right? Whether it's family, it's a friend, it actually has nothing to do with you. That was one of the awarenesses that I had. Now, what do I mean by that? And this was really hard pill for me to swallow and still learning is that um, I've been doing a lot of work on myself as far as, I've been working with different healers, addressing this thing with my mom, you know what I mean? And she's being triggered. When I mean triggered, meaning that she doesn't feel comfortable with the growth that I'm having. And I don't mean that in an egotistic way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like imagine like you have like you're let's say you're doing all this work on yourself and then you see that person 1 year later and they're still exactly the same. People get jealous, they don't like change, right? We get comfortable being comfortable, right? And so I'm kind of giving a long-winded answer, but to answer your question, basically I forgot what the question was, but what was the question again?
So what do you think you need to address or resolve in order to achieve your goal?
Oh, thank you. So I think really it's just that too, just really not the next instance that I have with my mom, not allowing that to ruin my whole month, my whole day, right?
Mhm.
Um, and just continue focusing on myself. And the
Mhm.
thing was, is actually I didn't respond to her, which was I was really proud of myself because before I would do that, and it's when you do that, you're like, when I do that, I'm like giving my power away because she wants a response out of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so anyone that's listening, not responding is actually a response. That's actually healing. So actually what I did, I actually blocked her on my phone. So now like she can't even contact me, which I feel fine with because again, I'm not going to allow her to take my power away because that one text message, I guarantee you she probably would have ended with another and another. And I just don't, I'm just not in the energy space for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when I'm ready to unblock her, I'll unblock her. You know what I mean? But at this point, if she wants to talk to me, like, you know what I mean? There's social media. She'll find a way to reach me. But basically, I'm not going to chase after her anymore. I'm just like I'm done with that. It's just like with men, I always have this tendency to like chase after men, right? But honestly I don't do that anymore because again, you're giving your power away. I don't know if you can relate, right? I'm sure a lot of people listening to this, especially as women, like we get so vulnerable, like, oh, like I need you, right? And you keep texting the guy and texting the guy, and it's just like if he said no, no means no. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so yeah, that was kind of a long-winded answer, but I'm just
Yeah.
being so
Yeah.
openly raw with you and open. So
No, I really appreciate that. So it sounds like there's going to be some release that you would like to write a letter to your mom. And there was an incident that happened a few months ago that was really hurtful when she asked you to leave, but it also allowed you to grow as a person a lot. And you had mentioned that your growth might be making her feel uncomfortable. And so that is putting a little bit of strain on your relationship, but then you're also realizing that you don't want to let her ruin your day or your month and let that affect your power, and you also want to focus on yourself.
yeah, you're right on the money. You're a really good coach.
Thank you. So when it comes to releasing and writing a letter to your mom and burning it, what are what do you need to, or what is the main thing that you need to let go?
That's such a good question. High quality questions that you're asking, by the way. um, I really think it just goes back to loving myself because I feel that love is the center of all things. Um, I don't think we're ever really at some mountaintop because there's always going to be like another mountain that's going to go higher. Um, I really think it's definitely anger, specifically. If I
Mhm.
were to answer that question, yeah, anger. Getting rid of another layer of anger because that's something that I've struggled with for a very long time. It's gotten better. Definitely have healed a lot of anger, but the anger, yeah, that I have towards her for things in the past. And that's not nothing she can do. It doesn't matter how many times I talk to her. This is work that I have to do that we call the shadow work, right?
Yeah.
And it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that happens in layers, and if if I have to cry, I have to cry, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being in silence, just getting in child's pose. And I love when I wake up in the morning, first thing I like to do is get into child's pose, even if it's just for two
Mhm.
to 3 minutes, just to focus. Um, I don't know, it's just something really beautiful about in the morning when it's just quiet. There's just like, there's no noise. I just really feel that a lot of my answers that I need to things just kind of flow.
Yeah.
I think just taking care of myself. Yes, releasing anger, but what does that mean? Somebody may be listening. Okay, how do I release anger? Easy to say, but not easy to do. So I believe that to answer your question, I have another second part of the question. Um, I believe that what do I need to release? One way to release is enjoying your life. This was something that my healer told me, and that has been, again, very difficult for me because I've always been so used to, honestly, like suffering, suffering, suffering. Not that I haven't had moments of joy, but to be happy, it's something new for me. It's something I've been working on for honestly 15 years. And definitely, it's getting better and better. And but for example, like I like to have celery juice. I started making like these 15-second videos on Instagram, like dancing despacito, just silly things like that, or dancing around my room. So I think releasing, or what do I need to let go of, because I believe it's not always knowing, because sometimes we don't know what we need to let go of, and it's okay not to know. It's okay to be in that space. So I think it's
Yeah.
really doing our best, for me doing my best, enjoying my life, whatever
Yeah.
that means, whether it means like having my celery juice or spending a whole day in bed watching movies because I deserve that time. um like I love to do hot yoga, but because of COVID there's no but like I love to take hot baths, but just doing things that bring me joy. I think that's the most important thing, because one thing that my healer told me, she said that's actually the secret to abundance. It's not really a secret, but when you're in that flow of joy, you start to attract things, come to you. You let things come to you.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's not easy. I'm not saying I'm happy 24/7. Hell no. But just doing the best I can in every little thing that I do. Like at my work, if my boss says, "Oh, I need you to reach out to this person." Cool. Okay. Woo, like but just doing the best that I can, not complaining because I'm there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my answer for that.
It sounds like there's a few parts to letting go. S- One part is to love yourself, to work on your anger, and to also to enjoy life. And you mentioned that you love hot baths and yoga. And then I really liked how you mentioned the flow of joy and how that can bring abundance. It seems like you already have an awareness of what you need to do in order to get to where you want to go.
Absolutely. But I am always open to improving another aspect of myself, right? It's
Mhm.
never about being on the mountaintop, like, oh, I know everything, right? So I'm always open to
Yeah.
like, okay, what's another thing I can do to maybe I learned something new, another thing I can do to bring joy, right?
So, what my question to you is, if you know exactly what you need to do to let go, and you know yourself best more than anyone in the world, what are you really resisting by what are you really resisting right now?
Part of my growth is I've been really afraid also now going to the business aspect of it. So I've been starting to get more clients and things are flowing. Um, a part of me is afraid of success.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
How do you think that's impacting you in other areas of your life?
for example, I'd like to lose like 5 pounds. I think it's hindering that aspect of my life.
Mhm.
The thing is like I've come such a long ways in my healing. I think it's just this little shift, right? I feel that I am moving in the right direction. As I mentioned before, there's always something we have to work on. Life is never peaches and cream, rainbows and butterflies. That's a really good question. I feel that it's just really the word that's coming up is trust. Really trust
Mhm.
myself.
Mhm.
Trust at a much deeper level, but really trusting myself that, hey, it's going to be okay. Because I was talking about before about like Trauma, because I've experienced a lot of trauma in my life. One in every 3 women, one in every 4 men have experienced some sort of trauma. It's a worldwide thing. Nobody's a victim. Um, I have experienced a lot of trauma. Just a lot of my, when you go through trauma, when you're abused, you lose a loved one. But when I was molested, and then again, just all this stuff happening for so many years, it's like your power is taken away from you. And so I had to take steps, and I'm still taking steps, really trying to regain self-love and power within myself. I had an incurable disease in my body for like 15 years, and just 2 years ago I cured my body. So this sense of feeling good, even though it's been 2 years, some might think, oh well, you should get over it. It's not like that. I mean, for me to, again, trying to understand what this happiness is, right? It's, I'm about to cry, but it's just the honest truth. Like, it's really hard for me because I'm so used to suffering.
It sounds like suffering and pain has been a big part of your life for so long.
So I think it's just really nurturing and taking care of myself.
Mm.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel your feelings.
Yeah, so to answer your question, I think it just goes back to myself, really making sure to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Self-care, like I have to give myself extra self-care. A lot of times I have to be in isolation, but then I come out and I'm just like a butterfly. Like I'm a social butterfly, you know what I mean? But I have to spend time with myself, you know?
Definitely. Definitely.
And for those of you listening, there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually what's called being an empath. It just means that you have a big mission and you take in energies and you're sensitive. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you. I really want to give this message because whether you're a man or a woman listening to this, you don't have to be a woman to be sensitive, but some of us are a little bit more sensitive than others. And there might be a lot of people that take advantage of you and want to take your power away. And we have to be extra strong. I'm not saying it's easy, but whatever that means for you, again, it goes back to taking care of yourself, right? Making sure you're putting in the right nutrition, having time in solitude, enjoying your life. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like you have been through a lot of trauma in your life that has, in a sense, maybe taken some of your power as you were going through it. And you've been spending a lot of time to regain that power back for yourself. And along the way, that trauma actually was damaging enough to have you not trust yourself anymore.
Thank you for voicing that for me. That was really beautiful. Difficult for me to voice that.
Yeah,
So I'm always just so used to like giving so much to others that it's difficult for me to like voice that about myself.
definitely. 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 As a person who is an empath and always is helping other people, you really do deserve to also be be acknowledged as well.
Thanks.
So when it comes to your openness, what is your ideal scenario? What would you like to see happen?
I would like to have more clarity in my mission. I feel that my mission is actually helping women heal from trauma. I feel that I'm already moving in the right direction, but um, I would just like to see a more flow of clients,
Mm-hmm.
a more flow of money,
Mm-hmm.
and just more happiness within myself.
Mm-hmm. Those are really, really great. So to have more clarity in your mission, more flow of clients and money, and more happiness with yourself. In particular, with your relationships with your mom and um, in particular for your relationship with your mom, what is your ideal scenario with that?
To be at peace,
Mm-hmm.
to be at peace and not argue anymore. I'd like to read something. There's this quote that I sent to a friend, if that's okay.
Definitely.
Can you hear me? Or wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. This is for everyone listening. This is give me 1 second. I have it right here. Okay. Right. 1 second. Give me 1 second. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay. This is from one of my favorite books. It's called The Wisdom for Creating Happiness and Peace by Daisaku Ikeda. I just want to read this one little paragraph. It says, um, he says, he says, okay, he said, everything that happens in life has meaning. If you press ahead undefeated through the sadness, the pain, and the feeling you can't go on, the time will come when you see its meaning. That's the power of faith and the essence of life.
Wow.
I just thought that was so profound because, as I was mentioning earlier, like, it's not always about knowing, right? Yes, like we have the end plan, like, yes, okay, yes, I want the clients, yes, I want to have this business. But it's not always about having it figured out, right? It is about taking one day at a time and each moment, each instance. But definitely have the goals, have the plan. I'm not saying don't have that, but I guess just not knowing that it's like not always going to go perfect. It's like you have a road, but you're going to have bumps on that road, right? And it's okay, things pivot, just like I really loved how you shared, you were saying you had a new direction for your podcast. And I think that's so beautiful. You're going with your heart. Things shift, things are going to change. It's like there's this you know i'm I'm almost done studying to be a certified health coach, and I wanted to share this. It's interesting because every year we actually have a brand new body. Like we don't have the same cells, the same like skin and everything. Like we actually have a whole new body. So imagine like every day, what you're putting in your body. Even 3 months, a week, for your body's always changing. So it's like life, it's not always going to be the same. Things are going to shift. And that was kind of a long-winded answer, but yeah, I just really wanted to share that. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing all of that.
I
I,
feel so much better. I feel like literally a release. And like if it's an awareness that I had right now, is that where I'm at right now, it's perfectly okay.
mhm.
I'm exactly where I need to be. And that's beautiful.
I'm so happy to hear that. So happy to hear that. So, in your ideal scenario of having more clarity in your mission, more flow in clients and money, more happiness with yourself, and being at peace with your mom, let's say right now that all of that is 100% true in the present moment. How does that make you feel?
It feels just so beautiful. Just I just feel like dancing. I just feel just so grateful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, like, okay, what's the next thing, right? It's like, it's not always about getting to this one place. I'm the type of person that's like, okay, what's the next, right? Like, I'm always looking to challenge myself, right? Not
Def-
necessarily for it to be hard, but just, I guess I just love the challenge. I'm a Virgo, so I'm always like, okay, what's the next thing, right? What can I do to serve others? I'm always about helping people. And not to the point where like I'm exhausting myself, but I love to help other people, right? It's like, okay, what's the next step, right?
mm-hmm.
Even if I'm lucky to even live to be 70, 80 years old, I'm not the type I'm like, oh, I'm going to retire now. Like, I just always want to do something, right? Like, maybe learn a new language, right? Like, it's just like, I'm never stopping. I'm like, I it's just, yeah. What can I do to improve myself and help others?
Yeah. And it seems like that kind of mentality has led you really far in your life.
Thank you.
So, what is one action step that you can take in the next week to have more clarity? Well, what would you like to let's stay with the being at peace with your mom. What is one action step that you can take this week to be more at peace with your mom?
I think it's writing that letter again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to send it to her though. It's for me. It's just
Yeah.
write it, get release whatever needs to be released. Because I feel the second time around when I do this, like, 'cause I'm going to really take my time. I don't care if it takes me 2, 3 hours. I
Definitely.
really feel like this is like the next push. I really feel that I can't explain it to you, but I feel like other doors are going to open up for me after I do this. I've been applying, for example, for a lot of women's grants. And I feel like next month, like money's going to be coming in. I'm going to be able to use that money to take my business to the next level. I
Yeah.
had somebody invite me. They want to do this like really big podcast thing. I'm just like, wow, but I don't have the money right now. I'm like, but I'm like, it's okay. This is temporary, right? Everything's in divine timing. But I just feel it. I just feel that December's just going to be like a manifesting beautiful abundance month, you
That
know?
is so amazing.
Thank
And
you.
isn't it just incredible how when you have that feeling, I mean, as an empath, when you have that feeling, it's true. It's true. And so I have absolutely no doubt that you will receive that abundance and you know exactly what to do to become more at peace with your mom and increase your abundance and happiness in every area of your life.
I really appreciate you voicing that because a part of me was feeling for like the longest time. I don't know what to do to release and have, you know, peace with my mom, but thank you. You're right. I do know what I need to do. So thank you for voicing that. Wow. That was a big awareness. Wow.
Yeah. So what are you learning about yourself right now?
I'm learning that I'm powerful, more powerful than I realized, and that I'm beautifully where I need to be, and I don't need to feel guilt or put myself down because I haven't gotten to a certain mountaintop. And all the people that are coming into my life, it's interesting because I had a session with this lady. She wanted to practice, with her gifts. And guess what the session was about? It was about releasing money blocks. And so here I am talking about abundance, right? And it was just interesting how she came into my life, and now I'm having this beautiful session with you. It's just like the universe is showering me with so much love, right? Like, it's just so much to be grateful for. So to answer your question, it's just I could feel like there's just a lot of flow, a lot of beautiful flow.
Yeah.
It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. I'm so excited what's gonna happen. Like
Oh,
tomorrow, the next day, December, and going into 2021.
definitely. I could really feel the emotion when you were saying that, and I just see such great things in the future and coming to you. So, what is your biggest takeaway from our session today?
My biggest takeaway is that there's nothing wrong with me. I'm exactly where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's just the third thing, kind of three in one, but just that, like this, I'm exactly where I need to be, and everything's flowing in a beautiful direction.
That's so great, Jen. That's so great. Thank you so much for being a part of this session here with me today and sharing everything that you did with me and the listeners. I really appreciate you being open and honest and vulnerable. And I know that you're going to do so great moving forward.
Thank you. This was so healing. And for those of you that are listening, even if it's just that one person, I just feel that it's going to touch at least, one beautiful, one handsome soul's heart. And just, don't give up on yourself and know that you're exactly where you need to be. You don't need to be on some mountaintop to prove something to society. You are a beautiful soul, beautifully divine and orchestrated, and things will happen in beautifully divine timing for you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much again for tuning in today. Let's connect on Instagram at Kaylin A. Vu or at Dear Lovely Universe. Or you can find me at dearlovelyuniverse.com. If you are interested in coaching with me, you can head over to kaylinvu.com to learn more. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please leave me a review and a rating. It really makes me feel so good to get feedback from you. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you next Friday, discussing my experience with sexual abuse. This will be a 2-part series. It is not the easiest thing to share, but, this is a podcast about overcoming trauma. So it's going to get real. I love you, and I'll talk to you then.